Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. In our today's video, we'll try to understand why is Karbi Anglong, which is a district in the state of Assam, in news recently. Now the notes which I'll be using in our today's session, in case if you want to download them, you can go to a particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live and download them. And while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. Now let us start by understanding why is Karbi Anglong in news. Now Karbi Anglong has witnessed violence in past few days, and the scale of this violence is so alarming that it led to police personnel being attacked, it led to shops and houses being torched, which resulted into death of as much as 2 people. So what is the reason or what is the cause that triggered this violence, and why has for a long period of time the district of Karbi Anglong remained such a flashpoint? This is what we are going to discuss in our today's video. Let us first understand the location where this violence is happening. This is happening exactly in 2 districts of Assam, that is Karbi Anglong and West Karbi Anglong district. Now these 2 districts are regulated or governed by an autonomous council known as Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council, which has been formed as per the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution, right? So this is where the violence is happening. Now let us understand why is Karbi Anglong for a long period of time witnessed such a violent activities. Now the state of Assam has beaten to the history of Karbi insurgency, and the main reason why Karbi tribes are demanding for a separate state is to get their land protections because they are tribal communities. Now because of these demand for a separate state, the government assured them certain kind of protections and offered them 6 schedule protections, because of which 2 districts in Assam, West Karbi Anglong and Karbi Anglong, they continue to be managed by a Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council, and this has been formed because of the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution. Now what kind of rights do people living in these districts get once this has been designated as a 6th schedule area? Now any area which has tribal majority, it gets certain kind of rights when it falls under 6th schedule of the Constitution. For example, tribals living in this area, they get land protection rights so as to protect their communities' rights, cultural and control over land. In addition to that, these communities also are governed by a special autonomous council like the Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council, which I told you has been formed under 6th schedule of the Constitution. So this is the protection given to tribals living in 6th schedule areas, one of which is the Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council. Now the demographic composition of the areas governed by KAAC is very interesting. You need to understand this is a tribal majority area where as much as 56% of the area's population, these population belong to scheduled tribes community. Now the largest community living in this area is the Karbi tribal groups. It also includes tribal groups like Dimasas, Bodos, Kukis as well as Garos. Now what becomes more interesting is that as against these tribal communities, there is also a sizable population of non-Assamese people. These are Biharis, Bengali Hindus as well as Nepalis, and they inhabit a very interesting area in this Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council, that is professional grazing reserves as well as village grazing reserves. And the settlement of these non-Assamese people, so-called outsiders living in these protected areas, is a cause of concern in the state of Assam. So for the outsiders, for the non-Assamese people, their settlements in the PGR and VGR, they see this as an area which provides them protection and it also gives them livelihood security. So this is what the concern of non-Assamese people is for why they are inhabiting this PGR and VGR. On the other hand, the local people, the tribals, they alleged that these illegally occupied non-tribal areas, particularly who are living in VGR and PGR, these are the people from outside Assam, and that is why when they live on PGR and VGR, it continues encroachment and threatens the identity, land rights and livelihood rights of local people. So on the broader point of view, this is an issue of insiders versus outsiders. Insiders being the tribal communities, majority of whom are the Karbi tribes, and the outsiders are the non-Assamese people like Biharis, Bengali Hindus and Nepalis, who inhabit which areas? The PGR and VGR. So this is the core issue which we are understanding. Now to understand why this current tensions have occurred in the state of Assam, particularly in the West Karbi Anglong district, you need to go back in time as back as 2 years ago. Now, 2 years ago, a group which represented the Hindi-speaking Nonia community called as the Rachnatmak Nonia Sanyukta Sangh, they submitted a memorandum to the President of India, Srimati Draupadi Murmu. In this memorandum, they raised certain demands, one of which was to legalize their settlements on PGR and VGR land. So these non-Assamese people, they wanted protection and recognition of their land rights. This was one of the demands they raised in front of the President of India. Now, when this demand was raised from the non-Assamese people, it sparked tensions in this Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council. And this has led to demands from the local people, that is the tribals, that they need to evict these outsiders, illegal encroachers from the PGR and VGR land. Now, their public pressure was so immense that the KAC chief, Tuliram Rongchang, he announced in last year February that they will remove the illegal and unauthorized occupants from the PGR and VGR land, and they would give this land instead to Gram Sabha so that it can be used for common purposes by the local people, that are the tribal communities. Now, what happened after this issue was raised? You need to understand what kind of lands are PGR and VGR. PGR, that is Professional Grazing Reserve, and VGR, which is Village Grazing Reserves. These are the tracts of land that have been set aside for livestock grazing, and they date back even to British era. You need to understand tribals mostly have an agriculturalist kind of an approach. So when they are involved in agricultural activities, which also involves the animal rearing activities, they need certain kind of land so that they can use it to allow, or this land would provide fodder for their animals, right? So these lands are very important as far as meeting day-to-day requirements and livelihood requirements of tribal people are concerned. So they wanted this land to remain exclusive for the use of tribal communities. But when outsiders, when the illegal encroachers live on this land, this denies them the very right which actually should be or should have been protected by 6th schedule status, right? So keeping VGR and PGR lands free from encroachment is a big issue as far as Assam's politics is concerned. Even if you look the state's land policies, they are designed in such a way that it would allow the state government particularly to remove the encroachment from these areas and restore these lands for the use of tribal communities. Now, what happened is, following this KAC announcements that they wanted to evict illegal encroachers from PGR and VGR reserves, many of the petitions were filed by the settlers in the Guwahati High Court. These petitions, all in all, they challenged the eviction notice that was raised to them by KAC, and in this petition, they also claimed that they have been living on this very land for 60 plus years. Not just that, they even disputed whether these lands were officially notified grazing reserves at all. Now, when these petitions were filed, what happened that the Guwahati High Court, it issued an interim stay on the order of KAC and also asked the KAC to clarify the land status. But as these land status were granted during the Britishers' time by a 1933 land notification, and as KAC was unable to trace this notification, therefore this matter remained in status quo. That is, the eviction notice that was given by KAC was not fulfilled, and it was stayed until the KAC proves that these lands were indeed the grazing reserves. Now, earlier this month, 9 people who they undertook fast unto death for more than 2 weeks, demanding the eviction of outsiders from the PGR and VGR reserves. Now, the current tensions, it flared up when the state government or the police, they removed these protesters from the site, highlighting that their health was deteriorating and they needed immediate medical attention. So they were shifted to Guwahati. And this decision by the state government to take the protesters away from the protesting side, move them to Guwahati, is what led to the tensions, panic and anger, which resulted into violence and led to death of as many as 2 people. Now, what you need to understand, why this district or why this particular area remains a flashpoint. As I told you, this area, the demographic composition of this area is majority towards the tribal communities. The biggest of them is the Karbi community. Now, as these areas are majority tribal communities, they have been given protections under 6th schedule, which gives them certain land rights. Now, on these lands, when encroachers or people from outside Assam live, this creates a situation which is very vulnerable to the spate of violence which we saw recently. Now, any perceived action from the state removing the protesters or any inaction by the state to remove the illegal encroachers, this is why the situation can always turn volatile. And the biggest lesson out of this discussion that we get is that you can restore the calm temporarily, but as you're not able to solve or have a durable solution to these land disputes, this peace remains very fragile and it is very prone to becoming violent in the near past, right? So this is what we get from our today's discussion. Now, before we solve a PYQ that occurred exactly on the topic that we covered in our today's discussion, you need to just stay for 1 or 2 minutes. Now, what we covered right now deals with the very core essence of Indian polity, that is the protections given to tribal communities under 5th and 6th schedule. Now, this is a topic that I did because it appeared in the news. But what about other important aspects of polity? What about other important subjects of UPSC like history, like geography, like economy? All of them are covered in great detail, including the one that I covered right now in our Resolution Plus batches. And right now we are offering 50% off on all the courses. In addition to that, we are also offering double validity on the courses, and this will go on until the end of this year, that is 31st of December. So you can take admissions as soon as possible in our foundation batches, but if you apply the code ATS live, you're going to get maximum discounts even in addition to these off that we are trying to take you to, right? And these batches are available separately for 2027 and 2028. So decide accordingly. Whatever is your target year, there is a batch or a solution for you, and this solution is called as Resolution Plus batches. Now, this is the question I was talking about. This question actually appeared in 2015. The provision of 5th schedule and 6th schedule in the constitution are made in order to do what? Please do let me know the correct answers in the comment section, and especially people from Assam who are watching this video, what is your take on this issue? Is it just an insider versus outsider dispute, or there is something more to it that I might have missed in our today's video? Please do let me know in the comment section. I want to know your opinion. And the ones who are waiting to download the notes, this is where you go. That is the Telegram channel called as ATS Live. So this is all from my side. Please have a very good day and do let me know what is your opinion on this issue in the comment section. We'll see each other again.